So number one being like, play the long game, like never go outwardly pitch to prospects, like always add value first, and then eventually when there is a need, like, they will definitely talk about it. So we
And how did
spend a
you do
lot
that?
of time by just going and talking about building sales commission plans in communities, like sharing expert thought leadership around these things on LinkedIn and other community through webinars and other areas. A lot of people used to say, hey, you guys seem to be sharing a lot of these interesting stuff, but never talking about your product. You guys are leaving something on the table. Like a few years later, most of them are now our customers in some form. So the thing was always very clear in our head as well. Like when we probably mentioned in one slide that this webinar is sponsored by Everstage and this is Everstage. But right now with AI, the way SEO works is become like someone has a very specific problem and then AI is telling them this is the solution. Because of that teacher student effect, what also happens is almost like you trust the teacher. Like people end up trusting AI a lot more than that they should. And hence, if an AI says this is the product that you should go try out, most people are going to click and go try out that product. So now it's no longer a traffic game or a like, other games. It's a different, completely different where you have to be in their mind share. And that's where people discover new products. Earlier, that did not used to be the case, because even if you didn't have traffic, you could run ads on Google and still be able to capture that traffic for those keywords that matter to you. With AI, there's no option. You can't rank for those keywords. You can't spend money today on, let's say, ChatGPT, Claude, or Perplexity. That's an area where I'm talking, for example, let's say you're running an inbound engine, and there are a lot of different nuances, like which source things happen. Most of us have a how did you hear about this farm as well, and distribution of leads from different cohort, etc. And today, we are at a point where we know AI can automatically analyze these and then tell you if there is any interesting insight out of these different funnels in marketing. But we don't have the enough tools to do accurate data analysis and crunching with AI and also have that repeatedly delivered to us. There is no this scheme of intelligence where insights come to us. I think that's gonna get changing very quickly.
Welcome to the Marketing Couch, where we decode what really works in B2B marketing, especially in startup marketing. I recently invited Adithya Krishnaswamy to the pod. Aditya is the director of marketing at Everstage. He was their employee number 7 and their first GTM hire. What makes his story interesting is that he built a 15% marketing team without any traditional marketing background. Aditya came from RevOps at Freshworks and therefore brings that unique operational lens to B2B SaaS marketing. Two things from our conversation that every startup marketer needs to hear. First, how Everstage grew from zero to hundreds of customers by doing 100 plus events where they never pitched their product, and why this counterintuitive approach helped accelerate their pipeline. Second, how they are using AI agents to make a 15% marketing team operate like a 50% marketing team with actual workflows you can implement today. We also dove into why they deliberately avoided SEO for years, their strategy for building trust in the US market from India, and why owning implementation in house became their biggest competitive advantage. The conversation was packed with contrarian insights about playing the long game in B2B marketing. If you find value in this episode, please share it with someone in your network who's figuring out B2B marketing, especially in the startup space. And hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps us reach more marketers in the community. With that, I bring you Adithya Krishnaswamy. Hey Aditya, welcome to the Marketing Couch.
Hey, Jidib, nice to meet you. Happy to be part of this podcast.
Awesome. I'm super excited to have you today as Everstage is a very interesting startup, and I have been kind of studying how it is, and I've been also looking at the kind of work that you guys are doing. So I'm really excited to explore this discussion, and was looking forward to connect with you over this conversation. So thanks for taking time out to speak today.
I think I've learned a lot from generally through podcasts of other marketing leaders. So hopefully this can help a few folks.
All right, so let's set the stage at the beginning. Let's get started with what Everstage does before we jump into what you do.
Absolutely. Everstage is a sales commissions automation platform. We automate the planning of sales commission plans to designing them and providing calculation and visibility of that to the sales reps and providing that wherever they are in their workflow as part of Slack or MS Teams or Salesforce. And that's a core product itself. I think the way in which we differentiate is two-pronged. One is a lot of vendors in the space are built for the admin. We try to optimize for the sales rep experience because sales is one of the most stressful jobs out there. And for context, like most of the US based sales reps in general make somewhere like 50% of their salary is commissions. And they need to plan their month, they need to plan their finances. So they need to know how much they're going to earn every month. So we pioneered one of the leading, uh, I would say, technology advancement in this space with the commission forecasting module, where reps can basically plug in their deals any point in time and know how much commissions they're going to be making. And I
What
think
is it?
those
What is the category called? Is it sales
um,
performance management?
So Gartner calls it sales performance management. G2 calls it sales compensation management as well. So I think in general, sales performance management is a little broader. It includes a little more, but sales commissions management is the base foundational category, which has been an age-old problem. Sales performance is a little more like you need to do planning and territories, quotas, etc. as well. We do provide that as well. We expanded and launched a planning product start of the year, but yeah.
So tell me, if customer was not using this product, right? How are they solving that problem?
And I can tell you, like, one of the best stories of Everstage is like it's built by people in ops. So I used to be in RevOps. Founder is RevOps. Head of product here right now is also RevOps. Head of solutions used to be RevOps. So we all four used to work together at Freshworks as part of the RevOps org, and that's how we started. So I used to personally process every quarter for 300 folks or so, and that was in Excel. Like, used to have my Windows laptop, Excel configured, and Google Sheets is also a little harder. So we used to do it in Excel and then import that into Google Sheets and then provide that visibility into all these reps. And I remember like I used to keep office hours and reps used to come and get clarified on their commissions. Hey, why am I paid much, etc. So that's where your baseline expectation is that you do commissions. You have to do commissions. So till your 20, 30 reps, you can handle it and doing it spreadsheets. Sometimes it's like, people are handling spreadsheets at like, 300 reps and managing all this version control and stuff and all. Like, I think that's the problem area in which it makes sense to automate it. And that's where we also explored, like, hey, can we find a better way to automate this? And this was back in 2018. And then we found that is like coming from Freshworks, like where user experience is one of the core foundational philosophies of Freshworks. And we looked at the market in sales comp, and nobody cared about end user experience. The products were all very, very poorly designed and did not have user experience and all very outdated modules. And that's when our founder came up with the idea, hey, what if we do something differently and have a different point of view on this space? And that's where the commission forecasting, the rep first approach, and having a great user experience for the product, all of this tied together.
Got it. Got it. So, so when you started off, what was the first problem you took it up? I mean, as a product.
The core commission workflow that we wanted to solve was calculating and processing commission. So get your data from CRM, set up a commission plan, let's say for your sales reps, and then calculate every month your commission statements and provide visibility of that statement to the sales rep. So from an admin perspective, you are using our no-code designer to build a plan and then automatically configuring processing of the plan as well, like for the commission data. And once the commission data is processed with your CRM data, then you're basically providing that visibility to a rep. So reps log in and then they're able to access their commissions information in a dashboard and statement. And this is the very first version of our product. And Postman ChargeBee were some of our earliest customers as well. And this is what they had in 2022.
Got it. So, would it be safe to say that you work in conjunction with CRM predominantly for most of the
Yeah.
so Salesforce,
Yeah.
and which are the other key CRM that you are integrated with?
So we integrated most of the CRM because a lot of our
Mhm.
customers come from multiple different CRMs. Like mostly, I would say like 80% of our customers are all Salesforce CRM users.
Mm.
And we also primarily sell to the US market. We primarily
Mm.
sell to, I would say, companies with at least 20 sales reps as well. So at that
Mm.
maturity, a lot of smaller CRM players are not usually there. It usually is Salesforce and a few major players that they have. We also integrate tightly with the billing platforms as well. Sometimes companies pay commissions on invoice collected rather than just bookings as well. So you need to
Mm.
have the post-sale data, not just booking data as well. So we combine both of that and
Mm.
process our commissions data.
Can you talk about a little bit about how Everstage is competitively differentiated in the market?
Yeah. So I think, like I said earlier, there were two things. I finished one thing and I had another thing. One thing was customer focus and the rep experience. The second part is delivery of the product itself. So if you think about, say, someone with, let's say, 300 reps, and at Freshworks, we had 2,000 reps. So 300 reps is much smaller. And you will probably have, uh, let's say, 5 to 10 teams of different commission plans that they're all on. People will operate in different product mix or different regions or different kind of sales motion. So they'll have different comp plans. Now, to come and configure this within a product and set up all these comp plans, you will run past commissions data. And then basically, first you will do a POC to see whether this works. Hey, is it actually calculating my data correctly? Am I able to implement my compensation plan within this product? Like that's where this all starts. So that's where we started to differentiate to say, hey, this is a very stressful process because it's not a plug and play product. You can't buy a product and use it, especially a product that's as complex where there is a dollar involved in companies, finances, etc. So we offer free POC, no cost POC for everyone. That's something that was not there in this industry. Like we set this as a standard, and now because of that, all competitors also are following it. And after that, what we also do is, hey, because we put in so much effort into this POC, we didn't want to sell you the product and then send you to a third party partner to go implement. Because commission implementations usually, on an average, take somewhere like 6 to 8 weeks, and we've seen like some of our competitors take 7, 8 months to implement.
Mm.
So the moment, like if you ask the question, hey, this is a great product and every rep should have access to this product
Mm.
because it provides transparency into their payouts. So
Mm.
now how do we ensure that value delivery happens faster? So if you break that funnel down, then basically, hey, configuring this in POC is one thing, but after that, someone needs to work with that company and set them up for success. And that someone, if that's an external partner, it adds a lot of different misaligned incentives because that
True.
partner would want to maximize their payout, and they would
Mm.
want to be like, I want to spend more consulting hours to get value out of this customers. What
True.
can I expand into? And that's how services model work. We said we'll do it in-house. Like we are the only vendor in the space with more than 300 plus customers today who for whom all implementations have been completely in-house. We have a huge solutions team whose job is to ensure our customers are successful. They get the fastest time to value in the market. And in an enterprise software space where people overpromise and underdeliver, that has been the biggest differentiator for us, that we are able to walk the talk and ensure that they are able to feel the product as soon as possible. And that means that they get ROI much faster. They are more interested in exploring, getting the most value out of a commission tool instead of just being alive and being able to just implement a commission tool itself for a 7 month. You're like, oh, I'm basically fully tired of just going live with this. Let me not explore anything more than the basic functionalities. And I think that's where we took a very unique point of view on the market, and that has paid out very well so far. We've been the first in the industry to do that, and Forrester, Gartner, everyone has recognized us and called us out specifically for that.
Yeah, I
And
noticed that you're number one rated on fastest go live, which clearly is the differentiator that you're mentioning, and I think that very much resonates with any enterprise grade software solution. In fact, projects, the number one reason for failure is only the implementation part, in often, especially if it is complex and have multiple work streams or workflows that gets integrated. So there is an experience part of it, there is a timing part of it, and then I think you called out, after so long of effort, if it gets complicated and messed up, all you want is the basic things to just operate, right? Forget about maybe even experimenting or exploring the high end or the real advanced features and functionalities. So in that case, it's also in a way sort of stops the customer to really even fully experience the product to its potential, right?
no, no, absolutely. I think I remember like initial days, I used to be like, hey, everyone does implementation. Why don't we do it? And
So how are
I
you,
used to
sorry,
speak.
how are you doing initially before you learned this?
No, no. Back then, Siva was very clear from day one. Siva is a founder,
Mhm.
and he was very clear from day one that, like, hey, we will only do in-house. And I used to speak with him, like, hey, because you're in marketing, you get inevitably hit by all these partnership requests. And I used to go speak to him, hey, why don't we do partners? His mind was very, very clear. And it was like, hey, this is a differentiator. Like, because the moment you outsource someone to a partner, you're basically saying, like, hey, someone else will come in and deliver the value of the product. You just pay me for the tool and you can go away. Like, it's like almost outsourcing accountability of getting value out of a product. And if you fundamentally do that, then basically, why are you doing it better than someone who's been there in the same industry for 15 years? Like, we have competitors who do the same thing. So why should someone choose you if you are also outsourcing to a partner, competitor is also outsourcing to a partner? Then there's absolutely zero differentiation there. And it's also like much, much like easier for your team to use the product and give feedback on what's actually not working. Like
Mhm.
when people inside Everstage are implementing the product every day, then the product feedback loop immediately gets solved for because you are hearing it from straight from people who are the power users of the product, and all those
Absolutely.
people are just one call away. If you outsource to a partner, then your partner is giving you feedback, and it's just a delayed feedback loop, and you're not gonna feel that pain of having to incrementally improve the product, right? Because everyone knows the big modules, but that's not where products are built, right? It's those tiny details in every module that only a few people will notice.
Mm.
So those were the two reasons, and honestly, it really stood the test of time, and it's to be one of the biggest reasons why customers choose us.
Yeah, I mean, see, I also led customer success besides marketing. I used to lead customer success at Mo Engage for India market. One of the things that we found out that 70% of our churn originated from some or other reason at the stage of onboarding. So, so that's a very critical point in terms of really all the promises as a brand that you've made start coming to really, where the rubber hits the road, right? The customers start experiencing really what is the value. And oftentimes there are a lot of mismatch of expectations, mismatch, and top of that, if you have a third party sort of implementing, and I also used to lead customer success and marketing both at different stages at Adobe. So the challenges with bigger brand, right? They have multi-product portfolio, and many of their product portfolio are inorganic. So over the years, they have acquired different products. For example, Marketo, right? That is acquired by Adobe. Likewise, their analytics product, their test and target, which is basically their optimization product. All of these products have came from different market with different set of customers, and they have been, sort of their customers have been working with different kind of implementation partners. So it's a very complex ecosystem in an environment when Adobe is selling a solution to say a marketing technology solution or martech solutions to a customer, stitching together all of these products, right? It used to be complex, so no one single partner actually would have that kind of an experience to put together, but Adobe themselves. So that
Yeah.
was a very complex journey, and I could relate to what you're saying. Definitely, from a product experience perspective, this is such a big important piece, and I think you guys got it. At least in the beginning, took control of that part that potentially go wrong, especially where multiple workflow systems are there. So great. I think so that already sets the stage. So your ICPs are what, sales leaders
Actually, no.
or RevOps leaders?
It's primarily RevOps, finance, and sales compensation professions. It's because when it comes to commissions, sales is also not an unbiased participant in it. Even a sales leader can't set up a sales compensation plan because you can't decide how your team gets paid and measured. And it's anyway, like if you think about public companies and look into their numbers, like if you look at what's the most expensive line item in your overall company's balance sheet, right? Like generally, if you look at their statement, you will see sales and marketing
Sales,
costs is highest.
correct. Sales
Okay. And
commissions
if you
and,
look
yeah,
at
sales
sales
cost.
commissions, that's actually the number one or number two cost in most companies
Correct.
because You will, in SaaS, you end up paying 10% of whatever revenue you make as commissions. And if you go to services industry, it's even more higher in a lot of areas because their margins are even more low. So they will end up most of the cost or expense they will have, it's commissions. So in that context, it's every CFO's mandate to ensure that cost is optimized, which means you will have to ensure that you have your eye on commissions. And the revenue operations and the sales compensation professionals, they are a very critical role to ensure this commission payout is kept in check because it's not something you can go and say, I'll pay zero commissions. You can't live in a world, right? Because you're probably paying in a market where there are also competitors. And if you're not paying commissions, someone else is paying commissions, and good sales reps will go towards the better risk reward ratios. So you need to incentivize them good enough, but it shouldn't be very high. It can't go that your unit economics goes for a toss. So it needs to be in a right balance. It's a lot more there's a lot more thought into each sales compensation plan. And so the finance org, the CFO, VP of finance are usually involved in our decisions. Sometimes HR also gets involved, but mostly it's revenue operations and sales compensation professionals that are in charge of implementing the quarterly commission, are probably the admins of the platform as well for us.
And you are selling it to enterprise, right?
Yes, we don't sell to anyone who's less than 20 reps. So that rules out most companies less than 250 employees. So our sweet spot is between 1,000 to 5,000 employee range companies. That's where we primarily sell into.
Okay, so good. With that, it's a good segue. Akshay, just talk about. Sorry, Aditya. Just talk about a little bit about your role, right? I mean, I know and I understand that you are part of the pretty much part of the founding team, and I came from a very similar background. And then you worked at Freshworks, and then starting from ground zero here, right? It's been, I think, about close to 5 years for you. So tell me, what is
So
your charter today, and where did it all begin?
yeah, the commissions used to be part of the job at Freshworks for me under revenue operations, right? And it was the most stressful part of the job because it's like end of month, you're spending those 3, 4 days where you want to be analyzing the data for insights on the sales performance, but rather you're spending it on calculating commissions, managing it in Excel, and paying out. So my journey or gripe with commissions started there. Hey, that needs to be a better way to handle this. And then Siva used to be my boss at Freshworks. He left in somewhere around 2019, and then he ended up starting Everstage in 2020 March. So it was a very organic found a market fit for him in terms of the problem that he wanted to solve as well. So first time when I heard that something like this is happening, I knew this is something where I might naturally fit in as well because of my experience with the problem before. And then that's when opportunity came, and I spoke to him, and he was also like, okay, let's do something. And then that's how I joined Everstage. And then it's basically after almost 7 to 8 months of starting MSH. That's when initially you only need the engineers. So after that is when I joined as part of the GTM team as one of the first hire in the GTM team. And journey from there has been close to surreal because first year we're just figuring things out, setting the foundations, but still we had a few very strict operating rules, which I would recommend as these are the principles that really help Devastate. So number one being play the long game, never go outwardly pitch to prospects. Always add value first, and then eventually when there is a need, they will definitely talk about it. So we
And how did
spent
you
a
do
lot
that?
of time by just going and talking about building sales commission plans in communities, like sharing expert thought leadership around these things on LinkedIn and other community through webinars and other areas. A lot of people used to say, hey, you guys seem to be sharing a lot of these interesting stuff, but never talking about your product. You guys are leaving something on the table. Like a few years later, most of them are now our customers in some form. So the thing was always very clear in our head as well. Like when we probably mentioned in one slide that this webinar is sponsored by Everstage and this is Everstage so and so. But we never actually pitched the product. And that really helped us well because if you think about the platform, the nature of the play we are in, it's an enterprise play, which means day one, we are able to handle 200 reps. Like day two, we will not be able to handle 2,000 reps. Like we will have to build those functionalities for them. So even if we had gotten them in year one or year two, it would have been a very difficult game to prove. So instead, you're adding value to them, building those long relationships and nurturing them. And then during the right moment, they will give you that chance of being able to speak with them for an opportunity. And that's how we approach anything, even we do today. Like we have a sales compensation community that we have almost going to complete 2 years this month, and zero promotion about Everstage. Like we have never reached out to someone there with the interest of pitching. It's just adding and giving them a space for them to come together and share. That's one of the primary lessons as part of the journey that I would say for everyone. And second is social proof. Like never talk about yourself, and nobody will listen to you talking about yourself and your product and take it as an unbiased view. You are the biased party. So can you focus on ensuring that your initial customers are super happy and are successful with the product so that you're able to get their testimonials and case studies out there in the market? So that's been one of our core tenets of how we go about marketing. Like there isn't a single piece of collateral we put out there that doesn't have social proof. Like even if we do a thought leadership report or a blog, we'll try to add a quote from someone in the industry validating our point of view. Like we don't just publish something in isolation. We try to be very, very sensitive about that because in general, if you think about it, like anything that you buy, even on a basic level in Amazon, you're looking at reviews. For someone in such a big market that we are operating in, it's very difficult for someone to trust a vendor at face. And if you think about it, your website is the last space that people would come. They are going to review sites, they are going to communities, they are pinging in Slack groups and their WhatsApp communities, and then checking, I have this problem. What would people in my community like me will recommend for this? And that's when we realize, hey, we need to ensure that we're delivering value to the customer and make them the center of attention for everyone. And those were some of the initial things that have still stuck on, like, till today. And the third thing is all of this would require a lot of patience. Like getting a testimonial is no easy job. Like you will have to show value, and then only the customer will give you a testimonial. And playing a long-term game without pipeline immediately coming is also not an easy job because every marketing engine would be like, hey, where are the leads? Where are the SQLs, right? Like the moment you show that, like, hey, this is a long-term game, it's not going to come. We also needed an overall GTM alignment towards that to say, hey, we're in it together. We're playing the long game. So it's okay. Like, we will not sell, but it's okay. Like, eventually when the right time comes, if there is an opportunity, we'll be able to speak with them. And that basically led to a lot of brand initiatives that we did in terms of either communities, webinars, the events that we throw. So I think by this month, we would have done 100 events in the US. And we've never made it about being super flashy on online or anything. We've just gone about it as a community building exercise. And every event, we have so many repeat customers and repeat people from the same region coming in. And
Hmm.
that's been such a rewarding journey, right? Because these people
Yeah.
recognize you. And when someone comes and asks, they validate your brand as well. So,
So talk about a little bit about these events that you mentioned. What kind of events are these? Are these trade shows? Are these
no, these are all
self-hosted
like
events?
dinners, self-hosted
Okay.
dinner events that we do
Hmm.
across the US,
Hmm.
done 5 times. Correct.
Hmm.
Uh,
So is
it'll be
that,
something.
sorry, Aditya, so is that part of a multi-touch sort of strategy where events is like a progression from probably a larger fund part of the funnel, which is coming from webinar or some other larger, I mean, sort of touch? How do you decide like
Yeah,
these events?
yeah. So the event, to start off with the event format itself, like, so it's over 6 to 9 p.m. during the evening after the day is over for most people. And we try to do a session and then followed by a proper sit down dinner for people.
And what are these
Usually have
sessions
somewhere like
about?
it's something about giving value back. Like we'll do a session saying road to VP of RevOps. We'll
Hmm.
do a session saying like, how to move from a supporting to strategic role as a sales compensation professional.
So this is very
Um,
interesting. So your events are focused at giving something really valuable to ICPs, which they
yes.
really care in their professional, right? As opposed to saying, "Hey, how do you solve this particular problem?" I guess it could be a combination of that, but I don't know too many companies were actually doing that kind of format or strategy, right? Which is very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I think again that
I
goes
mean, I
back to our
guess
first principles.
even the
You do you
percentage.
wanna do you wanna attend an event where someone is gonna come pitch their product and their problem? It's too
Absolutely, yeah,
narrow, right? Because
absolutely.
marketing is huge, and the same for revenue operations as well. Like these are all people from different companies. If you take as a RevOps professional, you are planning the year, you are setting targets, setting dashboards, you are maintaining tools, you're processing commissions, you're coming up with the insights, and then you're handling people management, you're doing stakeholder management, you're helping with headcount planning. So your priorities are 10 things. Commissions is one of the main priorities for you. So if someone says, come spend 3 hours, talk about commissions, take out of your family time and come down, do that, like no one is gonna be interested in doing that unless it's some star speaker that they can never get to meet. And you're not going to be able to pull that off again and again. So you need
Mm,
to basically focus on them. Hey, this is a RevOps person. What's the RevOps topic right now in the market that this person will benefit from? And
mm,
then we throw that event. And then we try to engage with them during the event. And if organically they get interested in, hey, what is Everstage? Oh, sales commissions. Right now we are looking for a tool. Why don't we chat? If that happens, we will engage and see if there is something. But even then, we'll never push for it. Like we just most of the times, it's like right now there's no need. Then yeah, hope you had a
yeah.
great session and a great event.
Yeah, fantastic. And that's exactly what I was about to hit on, is that my interest would always be if there's something that I can personally take away and apply for myself. And that's much more bigger driver, which you don't necessarily always get through a YouTube video or maybe, some other session or content, right? Because you get an opportunity to also ask, you also get an opportunity to see who your peer group looks like, what kind of question comes up, and all of that makes things really exciting, right? But how does Everstage become credible to talk about all of that? That's where your, I guess, founder and his background and some of your background plays a key pivotal role, right? I mean, saying that, hey, we spend time here, we have done that first as part of the organization and their growth, and now we have built that understanding, the pain of you as that professional and what it takes for someone to grow in this path, right? Is that something that
Yes.
plays out well?
And even there again, social proof. Get a good speaker in that region who's a VP of RevOps who's traveled that journey
Ah.
and interview that person. You are enabling these group of RevOps and sales compensation professionals in a region
Mm,
to get together and learn something.
mm,
That's your objective. Like if
mm,
you again go and say, "Hey, I'm an expert. Listen to me." It works initially. Like first 2 years,
mm.
when Siva used to do sessions and all, it worked. But then he himself said, "Hey, I've been CEO for 4 years." At some point, he's not right now a RevOps practitioner.
Correct.
So that would also mean that you'll have to get people who are practitioners. So that's when it's real knowledge as well. So we get external speakers and we just
Mm,
moderate the session. We are not
mm,
even trying to push our agenda on there as, hey, we are built by RevOps and all. No, we're
mm,
moderating a session for you on RevOps. So
mm,
why don't
mm.
you come, network with other people and have a good time?
So we increasingly see the role of community events and the impact of that in B2B growing, right? And this is a similar thing that we have done at Mo Engage, where we used to do this mixer events, which basically focused at bringing in, especially the D2C company founders who, at an early stage, would actually struggle with the whole customer engagement piece. And we used to bring in predominantly this customer engagement focused marketing or product folks who would come and exchange what's going on in their side and probably learn from what's happening on the other side as well, right? So there are a lot of values I think eventually is derived from coming to a community event as opposed to a tech event. Tech event has its own benefits, but the engagement that you see and the energy that you see in a community event is a lot higher, right? In terms of so that sounds great. And is your role at RevOps actually helped you in terms of understand and connect with the target audience with empathy? Did that play a role, Aditya?
Yeah, I would say the only reason I've survived so far in marketing here, for a person who's not done marketing, I would say I'm very lucky because I understand the business context. I know the jobs to be done, and I basically have written most of our initial blogs, thought leadership. Until date, I publish our newsletter, and for every report and every content piece put out there, I'm the first one to review them and ensure that it is relevant to the audience that we are speaking about.
Hmm.
And it's super important. The more and more, when you try to learn things and as well look into, hey, how to do great marketing, what you realize is to do great marketing, you need to understand the audience. And
Hmm.
how do you understand the audience? The best way to do that is to listen to them, talk to them, and then get a sense of it. And
Hmm.
if you have that context, then basically you're speaking their language.
Hmm.
You're talking about their problems and you're talking about how they could solve their problems. And that, because I'm from a RevOps background, that came a little easier. And that basically ensured that all of our marketing efforts, at least we are not going down this, let's say, non-existent problem. Like we're not writing a thought leadership on something that's not a pain for them. And they are like, oh, I didn't even have this problem and you've written a blog about it. Like we don't do content like that. We keep all of it very, very clear and focused on their jobs to be done. And
Understood.
our content framework is also based on that. So we follow a framework where it's like, hey, this is a RevOps person. What are their five different mandates that they have? And how do we now talk about solving this problem right now? And who's the expert that we can go interview in a podcast, do a webinar, or do a report, or come up with a social angle to that post, etc.
Right. So I guess building a brand, especially in today's context, is mostly largely remote, and a number of this emerging India-born but globally catered kind of B2B SaaS brands are becoming good case studies. What do you think in terms of the initial problem that you faced, and even continues to be a major problem that you are trying to solve as a marketing team, in terms of really building that mind share, or building the brand in this category, especially a large market like US, right? Where I would imagine there will be already a lot of incumbents in that space, and some of them maybe are much bigger in size. And what has been your big strategy there?
Yeah. So I think any new brand will have a problem. It's especially harder if you don't understand the market itself. US is a very value-driven market. People evaluate you mainly based on merit. So you can't, like, if there are two different vendors that are there, then people will go for the best objective value for money product. There are very few niche or areas where they will go with the US product or a non-US product. So it's a very open market, and that way anyone can go sell into it. With that said, is it going to be easy for you to get into every deal that's happening in the US? Like if you're selling into the US market, and if there are every year there are 1,000 companies that are looking for your product out there, how do you get into every deal? And that's where you have to play the long game. You can't do the short game at all. Because let's say if you are in India and you want to sell to someone in India, and if they both went to the same college, you can call them and probably have a chat. What happens now? You're selling to US and you don't even know the university that person went to. You don't even watch the same sports that person watches. There is no connect at all. Like most people, like until I went to the US for the first time, I don't even understand the context of weather, different time zones, all those nuances that come into play. So with all this, how do you get that context? Like first, get to the market. Like you will have to go to the US. You will have to speak to customers and prospects potentially there and get a sense of what are their reality, where are they consuming information, and how do you get in front of them where they are. We started right during COVID, Siva says, like, hey, I started in February, March, then April, COVID wave one hit and phase one hit, and then everything was shut down. So we started during that. So we built our brand fully virtually. And how did we do is like be first. So in marketing and most of initiatives we do, we always try to look for alpha. Alpha is nothing but an edge that you can capitalize and really double down on till someone comes in. So
Can you
there
give
was
me
this
an
community
example to
called
illustrate your point?
yeah. So there is this community called RevOps Co-op. Okay. It's a community of RevOps professionals, 12,000 people today. So back then, when the community started in 2019, 2020 is when the community started. And so I was the fourth or second member to join the community. And then it quickly during COVID time, RevOps became a huge growth as a function. And then the community became 3,000, 4,000 people right off the bat. And Matt, the founder of that community, actually had another product that they were selling. And the community never planned to be a community of sorts at all. Like it was just a Slack community that was built initially. And then we were an active participant in that community. None of our competitors were there at this point in time. And then so I went and said, hey, I want to go do educational webinars, a bunch of webinars with your community. I want to be able to send an email to the community members and add value. I want to work with the community members to do a report or a survey on a topic. And then Matt was like, hey, you guys have been one of the most active proponents of the community. any questions on RevOps that used to be on community, we used to answer. And we were just giving it back to the community, playing the long game. And then we spoke to him and then said, yeah, let's do it. And the first year, today, the same sponsorship would cost north of $30,000, $40,000. Okay. First year, it was actually free. For free, we did 4 webinars, we did 2 newsletters, we published a report. And all of this because we were very active participants in the community. And then because of the relationship that we had built with Matt, and the community itself. We were the first sponsors of the community, and we got basically some of our most valuable initial customers who still happen to be our customers from that community partnership. And we didn't spend anything on this, all because we played the long game and we also understood that no one is there here. Let's go capitalize on it. And that community became a 12,000 member community. Like even today, we continue to be partners of that community. But today, like funnily, in most of Matt's pitches to potential sponsors, he always says, hey, Everstage is a partner of the community and they got these customers from the community by doing webinars and so
So
on.
you become a case
So
study, successful customer
we
study.
become a case study. And it's so many products like so, a lot of products right now, we are in their homepage as part of their case series, like take factors, take high performer, etc. And the core context there is be first, take a risk, because what happens in markets usually is anything that you can do, and if it's profitable, it's only going to be for a short period of time. Someone else will come and follow. Take Google Ads. So you have a new keyword that's come up and you're bidding heavily. Eventually, someone is going to see that in their search console and then see, oh, people are searching for this. Let me also bid on it. And eventually, it becomes competitive. So when you are initially getting 100 leads, that will become eventually 20 leads. Cost per lead will, like, you're getting 100 leads for $1,000, you will have to pay $5,000 to get the same 100 leads. So
Right.
everything goes away, which means you have to be first. You have to take risk, and you also it's super helpful to also have the context that anything that everyone is doing generally is going to be very inefficient. I'll tell you an opposite of that case study, and these are the kind of lessons that has saved us a lot of effort and time as well. So we are heavily, like, into account based marketing, etc. And most of 2016 to 20 time, everyone started ABM with platform first approach. They all bought all those major platforms in ABM, like demand basics and
Demand
ran
based and
ads,
everything.
everything.
Yeah.
We started with the approach that, hey, anything in marketing is always outdated quickly. And every platform, if everyone runs ads on that platform, then there is no value. You're not differentiating anyway. And we said we'll never run ads on ABM platforms. And we straightly went into actually doing ABM, understanding account level, coming up with collaterals at an account level, and then working on distributing them through other channels. And that saved us a lot of time because we never went into this whether someone saw our ads on 6sense or not, whether those ads worked or not. That entire funnel, we basically said, hey, we don't really think that serving ads on all these different channels is a differentiated effort in marketing. And it's anyway 5 years old. And now, right now in the market, everyone has realized that and they are like, hey, I want to target only on specific platforms, on specific people or specific companies. I don't want to do this generic ad everywhere. And spending $30,000 on ads on those channels, it doesn't work on ABM at all. And ABM, you need to be a lot more personalized and granular. But because we knew that anything is already going to, everyone is going to do, it's not going to be helpful, we never even explored that. We had a very strict guidelines within us to say, hey, we won't do that. But we still run company level ads for optimizing our pipeline, for optimizing those very specific 30 accounts that we want to target in account based marketing.
What kind of
We do
platform?
that. We do it on LinkedIn ads. We do it on a platform called RecordTap, where we only focused on where we know, hey, if a customer converts, they're going to pay us a lot of dollars. So now it makes sense for us to go spend a certain portion of our marketing budget into help a customer, a prospect become a customer. But if I were to say I'm doing ABM, I'm going to spend 30K every month and then have a 350K budget. At the end of the year, if my ABM accounts did not automatically convert, then that 360K would have been a huge test on my marketing budget and planning. And I would have basically been, like, under so much pressure. But instead, we said, hey, we will focus on doing the right thing for the account and do that in one to many ways or one to few or one on one if possible. but we will not subscribe to already an existing notion unless we have a very strong hypothesis that it is worth investing into it.
Did you learn from the initial exploration or from the day one you were this way?
We quickly spoke to people. Like one of our core, another tenets that we will say is like, don't feel shy to learn from others' mistakes. Go speak to people. So for every big initiatives, like when we did do a summit, when we first did our huge event, when we did our trade show, we always went to the community. I've always been like, very vocal advocates of SaaS communities in India. There are lots of WhatsApp communities. There are communities on Facebook as well as a Slack. Be part of it. And then you go say, hey, I'm doing this. Can someone help? So many different people have come and helped us and then said, hey, these are the things to avoid. These are the things that you should do. And for ABM, similarly, we went and did research and spoke to people. Everyone who said they were doing this, they all came and said, hey, I don't think this is helpful, but someone up is forcing me to spend here. But if it were up to me, I wouldn't spend because we spend this much on these ad platforms. We are getting these data on this person engaged or this company engaged, but we are not able to do anything with that data. So at this point, I'm not even sure if there is any incremental uplift on marketing efficiency because of this.
So,
So
so
everyone want us on that thing, and we are like, okay, if people are everyone wary of that, then let's be also like, very strict about engaging with such platforms.
great. So, what are the tactics now you feel or you are confident about that actually works or worked for you or works for you for Everstage as far as ABM is concerned?
Yeah. So for us, it's basically the most important is very, very narrow cohorts and having very, very specific messaging for those cohorts. And then being able to deliver that messaging either through a business development person or through email as a channel or running specific campaigns around that. So, for example, if I were to say, in theory, if I want to sell to insurance companies, then I need to run a cohort of 150 insurance companies in US, and I need to have some social proof. I need to have customers in insurance that I can quote to these companies. I need to have some collaterals and landing pages that talks about how we are differentiating for insurance as an industry, and then enrich for these profiles the right personas in these companies for this industry to go after, and go deep into all gong calls we have ever had with that industry persona and analyze them using AI to see what are the nuances, what is the language that they use. You use all this almost product marketing level deep insight exercise to come up with the right messaging and right collaterals for the campaign and find the right contacts and the personas in that industry to go after.
So, what are the
This is
channel you would
70.
use?
The channel that we will use is like LinkedIn. We'll do emails, we'll do cold calling, we throw events, we do webinars. All of that is the same marketing play that's been there. But when you're throwing a webinar for insurance industry, it's a very specific webinar that talks about a pain point right now in that industry for personas that we care about. It's not a generic, hey, RevOps in insurance industry. That RevOps as a persona doesn't exist in insurance industry. We need to go after someone else completely. So being able to identify that and putting in a lot of research to understand that makes everything a lot easier down the line for you to do your targeting.
Okay, so I think important thing is for you to be able to first of all connect those basic fundamentals and have those basic fundamentals at place, right? That means nail down your cohort, nail down your personas within those cohorts, get their maybe contacts or whatever emails and stuff like that. More importantly, relate them with the problem that they are currently solving and maybe they are having on their hands, and go there with the social proof to say that we have solved this problem and this is what maybe my XYZ customer has to say from this specific thing. This is how we are differentiating in this space. Is that a correct way to do that?
Yeah. Yeah, you hit the nail on it. Yeah.
Okay, great. So let's go back to content marketing in general from a funnel standpoint, right? And you spoke about thought leadership multiple times. How do you orchestrate this entire thing from a funnel standpoint? Tofu, mofu, bofu.
Yes. So I think we have two worlds to talk about. The pre-AI world, I don't think everyone is going to have much interest in that anymore. But post-AI world, what has happened is content has become much saturated. So right now, being able to write a blog about a topic isn't going to be super useful for everyone because no one trusts if it's written by human or AI.
Agreed.
So we basically said we'll not write blogs. We're not going to do so. Our foundation for content over the last 1.5 years has been, hey, can we provide unique insights or data that they can't find using AI? Can we provide that? Which means you'll have to do a survey, you will have to gather data, and then present that? Or second, can you share a working model or a template which they can apply to their job? That again would mean that you will have to provide screenshots, you will have to provide workflows, etc., and talk about it. Third is, can you provide an expert opinion on a very niche, very, very narrow topic that they might be interested in understanding, which is also a framework or practitioner guide of sorts. So most of our content effort will fall into these funnel for any content marketing led effort. Outside of this, we basically took a huge bet on executive social a year back and then said like a VP of sales, VP of customer success, our founder, and everyone will be super active on LinkedIn and they post 3 to 4 times a week and they share their stories, their data points, their experience right into LinkedIn. So that has been the primary way for us to go about brand recognition and getting a share of voice in the market. But when it comes to content, we just have a much, much higher bar and lower frequency because all these constraints mean that you can't create a good content very quickly. You will have to spend a lot of effort into each content piece. And this used to be very easy. Like this used to be like, me spending a few hours in 2022 to write a blog and then publish it and then put it on LinkedIn and then people used to be able to read it. And at that point, the funnel for us was, hey, I come up with the idea based on jobs to be done for a RevOps professional. And then I write down, scribble my thoughts, and then have a content writer work with me who will put that into a proper storyline and then edit it and do everything and then add some value to it and publish. Right now, that happens with a prompt. Like I can just scribble my thoughts and AI will give me a fully written blog. But that also means that it's no longer valuable. If everyone can scribble their thoughts and write a blog, then why would I read someone's scribble versus I can give my own prompt and read it? So we realize, okay, we can't do this kind of content anymore. So right now we focus on podcast content that is not falsifiable. Like that's human. We do webinars, we do executive social content. Like it's again, I would say primarily people's experience. Like it's not some Gyan theory. Anyway, LinkedIn doesn't ensure that those content work. So
And what's
we'll
the
write it
format
based
for
on.
executive social content?
Oh, there is no format. We get on a call basically with every leader for an hour and we ask them a bunch of questions and they answer. And then based on that, we find interesting stories from their experience and then write it in their own language and then share it with them and then they post. That's the format. It's super authentic and it's based on, hey, what's the problem right now in the market for the audience and what is your opinion on how you will solve that problem and then sharing that thought leadership.
It's your
That
own
is
executives, is what you're referring to?
correct. So it's like a VP sales, then it's his thoughts. We are enabling that to be written better and again sent to them for review. So they also do so much reviews. At the end of the day, it's basically them writing it, but it's coming up with their answers to a few questions and then converting that into a good storyline and then sharing it with them. And then they are like, validating it and then helping us post. So that's
Got it.
a narrative that we go for that as well. Like again, like one of the, let's say, I know we've spoken about so much principles. So one of the principles again I will say is authenticity is the most important marketing trait. Like you need to be authentic, and your audience, whenever you're speaking to them, they need to know that it's coming from you and it's based on real experience and real words. Because if you try to hack that, what happens is people lose trust in you, and once trust is lost, it's usually irrevocable. So you're basically not going to be able to build a long-term brand. So we look at thought leadership and content and brand all under the purpose of, hey, can we ensure that we are talking about something on top of mind for this person and we are taking our point of view? We don't have to get it right. Like we don't have to come up with a perfect perspective on everything, but we are taking a point of view that's unique to us, and that makes a lot of difference in how we do our content.
Got it. So, in terms of again going back to the funnel, all right. So, what are the typical pieces that you do for top of the funnel, including your social stuff, right? I mean, say day to day social, do you do anything on that, or do you only do like once in a week or once in 15 days some kind of a post, which is.
So we used to do a lot of social posts on our Everstage handle. We still
Mhm,
do 2 to 3 a week.
mhm.
But basically what has happened again is it's a channel market fit, right? Like so LinkedIn doesn't publish company posts anymore. Like it doesn't push those for awareness. It's only people posts that are coming out there. And it's the same for most of the brands. Everyone is struggling. So there's no point putting a lot of effort into a channel that's no longer working. So
Mm,
we used to do a lot, but not anymore. We are right now focused only on executive content and to build brand awareness, etc. We primarily approach through a community lens. Okay, what are all the communities in which our ICPs are there? Because that's the last line of your ICP engagement that's happening today, people are part of some communities where they are learning about their job and how their job function is evolving. Outside of that, social media, you are not guaranteed attention. You're not going to be able to target and say you're going to get. Search is a different game. That's a game where you'll have to do as much as possible to see what you can get, but that traffic is also very flimsy. Again, like again, a classic reverse alpha stuff is like we decided not to do SEO early on. We decided we won't do SEO because we are anyway in enterprise space, and you could get as much traffic as you want, but if you don't have enough social proof, if you don't have a strong product, a big company is not gonna convert. And
Okay.
we sell only annual contracts, so this also means that you don't get enough chances with every company. Every chance is super important because everyone ends up going in a multi-year contract. So we decided, like, hey, SEO from our perspective is basically not worth it until you're able to establish a great brand, which means focus on events, focus on demand generation from a point of view of where people are there, and trying to get social proof on review sites, etc. That's where we spend our years on until the AI SEO boom happened. And now we are like, hey, now with AI, it makes sense to go into SEO heavily because it makes, at this point, everyone is in a level playing field. And even if we had chosen SEO, like one of the reasons we also not chose is like every competitor was already going heavy on it, and their peak traffic was 10,000
Okay.
visits per month.
Mm.
And at that point, we also realized if someone who spent 5 years in SEO for this category and they're at only 10,000, then this isn't a high alpha channel that's going to convert heavily. Like, this
Mm.
isn't where we are going to get a lot of stuff from. But right now with AI, the way SEO works is become like someone has a very specific problem, and then AI is telling them this is the solution. Because of that teacher student effect, what also happens is almost like you trust the teacher. People end up trusting AI a lot more than that they should. And hence, if an AI says this is the product that you should go try out, most people are going to click and go try out the product. So now it's no longer a traffic game or a other games. It's a different, completely different, where you have to be in their mind share. And that's where people discover new products. Earlier, that did not used to be the case, because even if you didn't have traffic, you could run ads on Google and still be able to capture that traffic for those keywords that matter to you. With AI, there's no option. You can't rank for those keywords. You can't spend money today on, let's say, ChatGPT, Claude, or Perplexity. So this all meant that you will have to do it. So now it makes sense. And it's also not just us. All of our competitors are also starting from scratch. They also have to sit and do different kind of SEO for AI for it to work. So that's how we try to do TOFU today.
Okay, so for AEO and GEO, right? I mean, your basic foundation is still SEO, because if you don't have that foundation layer, AEO and GEO actually are not going to be effective, because it's ultimately going to
Correct,
come
but
from
it's
that.
not, the foundational layer is not about informational SEO. If you just have informational SEO to say what is sales commission,
Mm.
that's not gonna be super useful. But if
Mm.
you have very specific niche thought leadership, that's helpful to some extent, because most of the traffic drop has happened for the informational layer. On the
Correct.
informational layer, anyway, there is no CTA. No, if someone is
Mm.
searching for what's the best sales commission for real estate, there is no additional CTA. Someone AI is going to say real estate people usually get paid between 2 to 3% of the sales commissions. So
Mm.
those are the keywords where our industry was usually targeting towards.
Got
So
it.
with
Mm.
now you're writing hey, what's the best product for a 30 people startup in software? Like,
Mm.
now all of these becomes like you need to justify why you are a better product for a particular industry use case. This was never an SEO search term back in 2022. Like, SEO
Correct.
search term is like super broad.
Correct, correct. No, I agree. So, in terms of AI, I mean, you touched upon AI, right? Where else in your workflow today you are experimenting or you are using AI in a decent, effective
Yeah.
way?
So there are, let's say, three levels of AI in my opinion. So one is using LLMs. Two is using a little more advanced stuff like building a custom GPT with an LLM, doing notebook LM, etc. Three is building your own agents that have a workflow and it works. So in terms of our maturity over the last 9 to 10 months, we've somehow gotten into three. Most of the team is on level to minimum. That's mandatory for everyone. So everyone has their own custom GPTs. They have their own notebooks that they use. And some of them have started having their own N8N workflows, Zapier workflows, as well as part of their AI journey. And today, the mandate is automate your workflows, the things that you do that you think AI can do a better job at a reasonable level where there is no human judgment and
What
taste
are
required.
those?
Correct. So, for example, if you want to, let's say, understand what happened in a sales call, you used to go and listen to that. And every week you get a lot of demos, and you run a new campaign or an experiment, and you got a new lead out of it, and that had a demo. You want to understand how did they find you, what is the context, etc. So we built a workflow where as soon as a gong call is done, it sends a webhook API to us, and that API will get the full transcript from the call, and that transcript is now summarized based on what we require from it, which is this a band qualified? Where did they find us? It asks all the questions a demand person would ask. But also, we did that use case. We realized we can also apply this to a product team. Hey, what product features really resonated with them? What competitor intel did we gather from this call? This is just one of the example workflows, right? But this basically means that you used to spend a lot of time, and that was a differentiating factor between a good demand person versus a great demand person who has enough business context. Now we've automated that workflow process so that everyone gets a Slack notification every time a call is over to analyze that call and get a sense of it. And these are the workflows that only if you have seen that problem and lived through that problem, this would be an idea for you to go solve for. And this is how we're approaching. We built so many small custom app script or N8N workflows for our specific use cases that we have, like evaluating an outline of a content piece to see if it meets certain criteria, and being able to convert HubSpot details of an account into a case study interview. These are like just, I can talk about more examples, but the core context is everyone is doing for their own particular workflows that they want.
Hmm.
And we've provided them tool learning and option to go build it themselves.
So, in terms of next 12 to 18 months, where do you think AI is going to be more effective? Probably what it is not today.
Yeah, I think one area that's AI that everyone is underutilizing is its ability to analyze data in a meaningful way and give automated insights. And that's an area where I'm talking, for example, let's say you're running an inbound engine, and there are a lot of different nuances, like which source things happen. Most of us have a how did you hear about this firm as well, and distribution of leads from different cohort, etc. And today, we are at a point where we know AI can automatically analyze these and then tell you if there is any interesting insight out of these different funnels in marketing. But we are not able to we don't have the enough tools to do accurate data analysis and crunching with AI and also have that repeatedly delivered to us. There is no this scheme of intelligence where insights come to us. I think that's gonna get changing very quickly. So we've partnered with a very specific vendor to solve for our use cases that we want to solve for. And we're already seeing so much time saved and value in terms of how we operationalize our demand gen, etc. And I think that will be a very interesting AI development that is going to get everyone off guard because it also tells you what to do. It can also prescribe what to do, and with data. And till now, everyone is on the coming to a point of part of AI that takes away a marketer's joy, writing, positioning, and coming up with ideas.
Yeah.
But I think people should move on to the part that actually no one wants to do as much. Let's say analyzing data and coming up with an insight is something as an analyst I used to love doing, but I also hated it because you could actually be wrong. If you get a wrong data and if you do some random analysis, you could have an insight without business context, it will be useless. So when you analyze a marketing team's data, the best person to analyze that data is a marketing demand generation person in that team. So I think AI will help that person build their own data analysis and insights gathering agents that will help them be next better in their job. And that's going to happen for every role, is what I feel. Let's say Google Analytics data. Like, unless someone goes and looks into Google Analytics, they're not going to do that. But what if you know that you want to track your SEO visit based on sources every week? And then AI is able to analyze and then tell you last week to this week, this is what has happened. And it sends you a digest of sorts. And it's very different from automated Google Digest, which is data digest, which gives you
Hmm.
the data. You still have to interpret it. I think AI will start interpreting the data for you as well to compare it against the last 8 weeks, 12 weeks data, and then tell you what exactly is wrong and what you should do to fix it. I think that's where AI
Yeah.
as an industry will
Yeah, I
go
think
to.
that really sounds great. Are there any tools that currently that do that, or do you think
No,
it's better done through
there
prompts?
isn't. It's better done through someone who has to build this for you as a agency, as a service. You have to
Hmm.
get agencies to do that for you. There aren't a lot of tools today. Like we partner with someone who's building a product for this called Style Labs, and they're doing a very good job at it. But there aren't a lot of agencies for this specifically today. You will have to go find it, and because for every business, it's very unique. We're an enterprise SaaS business, so we don't have a volume problem. We have a quality problem. But someone
Yeah.
who's running an SMB SaaS will have a volume problem. So the metrics that they want, the things that they want to configure will be completely different to monitor.
Yeah, no, that is true. So, in terms of going back to the demand gen, which is something that you own today, you mentioned. So, what are the key aspects of demand generation that you broadly, if you summarize, are currently you're driving on?
Yeah.
Brand, I
So
guess you mentioned for brand, the events, those thought leadership content, some of these that you already mentioned. But in terms of demand gen,
demand gen is similar to most RX. Like we have a paid and inbound marketing team, and
hmm.
they are focused on working on all these different channels and coming up with landing pages, copies, etc. And then we focused on basically the SEO, AEO side of things. We also heavily bet on ABM, so we have an ABM marketing team. We're also hiring for it. So if any of you listening to the podcast want to apply,
I'm
please feel
sure,
free
yeah.
to reach out to me on LinkedIn. So those are our broad demand areas that we are focusing on today.
All right. So summarize now. What is your current charter? We have discussed bits and pieces here and there. We have discussed brand, we have discussed ABM, we have discussed demand gen as a whole, content. So what is your charter?
Yeah. So I think a CTO says it's the best. So he says with AI, 2,000 people company, what they're able to deliver, a 200 people company can deliver today with AI. You can really build a power packed culture and deliver that. So in terms of at least our chatter, it's like everyone can actually, if they're able to use AI effectively, can create more impact. And that impact will actually help with our company's revenue goals and pipeline as well. So how do we basically do 10x more and try to be as ambitious as possible and trying to scale because we're a Series B company and at this point we have ambitious growth goals as well. And one of the let's say the nitrous boost that you can get to do right now is through AI. So our charter is to if we did 2 summits this year, we want to do 5 summits next year. If we did like 50 events this year, we want to do 100 events next year. And how efficient can we be? And how much more value can we add to the audience? And if we are able to do 2 reports with, let's say, one content marketer this year, can we do 5 reports next year? Can we use AI to automate that part of the process and just appear much bigger brand than where we are? And that's where it got because the revenue goals keep growing, and your path towards those revenue goals cannot be
Yeah.
I'll hire more people. I'll try to do that because that is not the only way to go. So how can I have a 15, 18 people marketing team today? How can this operate as if it's a 50 people marketing team would be my 12 to 8 months.
So in terms of matrix, right? There are obviously vanity matrix, which is more focused campaign level and all of that. But at a marketing level, what are the metrics that your CEO would look at?
We've fully focused on only one metric, which is number of opportunities that we're able to deliver. And at a demand level,
Hmm.
that's where we focus. And at a revenue pipeline level as well, it's a very simple metric. We used to focus on dollar pipeline, but it's very misleading if you get a swing deal. So we realize we'll do SQLs, and that's the main metric in which we run our demand org.
So, Aditya, talk about a little bit about your marketing team, right? So, what are the different skill sets? How are they structured?
Yeah. So we have three different functions. So one is the growth and brand function, where we have content marketing and people who are building executive social, working with external partners, freelancers, etc. And then we have a field marketing function, which again we're hiring for the field marketing role as well. So we have people under there who are primarily focused on doing either trade shows or mixers in the US and UK. And third is the demand generation function, which I just spoke to you. So this kind of skills that we are looking for across all these functions, there are a lot of different nuances. But in general, the core skill is that, like, hey, are you okay to be part of a startup that's in high growth mode? Which means, like, you're going to get a lot of exciting growth. You're going to get a lot of exciting problems thrown at your way. And you need not have necessarily solved those problems before. Like, but can you apply first principles, pick it up, and trial and error, figure out the problem and then solve it. That's a core skill. But if you're a content marketer, those are creative problems. Are you able to come up with a very good positioning? Are you able to think of a creative way to engage an audience? If you're a field marketer, then it's a complexity problem. Can you handle five things at the same time during a high pressure event and be able to ensure that you're able to do a good job across all those five things? If it's in demand generation, then can you use technology very well to solve these problems in a very data driven way? So those are the different tenets in which we hire for each of these functions. But the core skill is the same. Like as long as you are very strong fundamentally and first principles wise and being able to think on your own, I think then marketing is coachable. And the skills in marketing are something that people can learn. But if you don't have first principles wise thinking and AI, at least a very open view towards using AI, then it becomes very hard for the subsequent scaling to happen. So we primarily have people who are good at those areas and are looking to add more people on along those lines.
Got it. I think that's well said. And in terms of R and PR and all of that, that's also part of the marketing team, right?
Yeah, yeah. So it's basically one of the core, again, long-term plays we took up 4 years ago with analyst relations. And actually, sometime in December last year, we basically got into Gartner Market Guide as well as Forrester Wave in back-to-back successions. And for anyone who's gone through that journey, you know how much of a huge achievement it is for a new vendor in the market to be part of those reports. And we got very good mentions as well as part of both of those reports. So I think that has been one of the most long-term patient plays that you had to play. That's basically also a two-way sync, right? Like they also teach you a lot about the market
Mm.
and help you to like have better positioning, better messaging, understand what's happening with competitors, etc. But you also have to like talk about your point of view, your positioning again and again. And it's yeah, I think it's 13. We did this exercise and it was like 13, 14 quarters in a row we were doing quarterly briefings with the analyst to be able to get into one report. So that's how much effort it took.
Yeah, I was speaking to Prakash Ramnath from Pando. I mean, they got into, I think, in their first attempt, and he was mentioning that it is actually a very exhaustive exercise. And like you mentioned, those who have gone through that journey, after obviously of several quarters of effort, that's a hard stuff. But it actually also teaches you a lot about your own competitors and markets, and what are the latest trends and how it is moving, right? So I think those are good
Yeah.
takeaways from the analyst side as well. So starting from a data scientist and then moving to RevOps and then product marketing, and then within marketing various hats, and then now focusing on AI driven, data driven, AI optimized demand gen, right? Where do you go from here next?
I think it's more interesting curiosity that drives me. Like, what's a very interesting problem that I like solving, spending a lot
Mm.
of time without having to, let's say, get bored. I get bored very easily. So it's more along that lines of like, how can I do things that are able to scale, that can be more efficient. So there is some portion of operational muscle memory that drives me. And there's some portion of like, just having interesting problems to solve and things to learn. Like I'd like to like spend a lot of time learning stuff and trying it out, new things out. So
Can you
I'd
share
say,
resources, or I mean, how do you basically keep yourself updated and learn new stuff? What is your best practices?
oh, I have an AI agent that basically I'll send it a link and it will summarize the link into seven takeaways for me based on my context. So I get all my links or anything that I feel like reading. I usually learn from communities, newsletters, LinkedIn, like anyone else. But I learn it differently. So I send those links into the AI agent and it summarizes and tells me what it is. And if I find that summary, it comes as an email. And if that summary is useful, then I go spend time fully reading it. But that way, I get to explore most of the topics and get to choose what I want to spend a lot of time understanding as in depth about the topic. But yeah, that's
Okay,
again one way in which I use AI to learn faster.
got it. Do you think Notebook LM could be a good starter there?
Definitely, I think it's even more than that, right? It's like what is new information, what is something that you already know. So that's very important because a lot of times when you go into that path of reading every new article on a topic, sometimes you might already know that. For that filter, I would say add a separate document in Notebook LM that talks about what are things that you already are aware of as well to some
That's a
extent,
good tip.
so that
Hmm.
the notebook filters for it and then says, hey, this isn't very different from what you already know. So
Hmm.
you're not spending, because in marketing it's very easy to panic as well. So
Hmm.
they will say, hey, this has fundamentally changed. Marketers are very good copywriters, so when someone is selling you marketing content, it becomes very easy to get like, oh, we haven't done this and feel that FOMO. So instead I'll usually take a pause and then see whether it's something that is incremental or it's gonna be not so much. So that
Hmm.
filter helps.
Okay. And anything outside work that interests you? I mean, marketing. Any other interesting thing?
I'm into chess a lot, so I follow chess very much, and I'm a big movie buff, and
Okay.
love to watch Tamil movies and English
Okay.
movies all the time.
Okay. That's good enough to keep you occupied outside, I guess. Outside these, I think marketing is such a profession. Like you said, I think 6 months you are out of it and you are lost touch. A lot of things have changed. Right? Where can people find you, Aditya?
I'm super active on LinkedIn. Adithya Krishnaswamy is my full name, and yeah, they can hit me up on it. I don't think I decline requests.
Great. Okay. Do you listen to podcast?
I do quite a bit, yeah.
All right. Any recommendations for marketers?
I would say. In marketing specifically, I don't listen. I try to consume that through, at least I've stopped listening. But the Refine Labs podcast used to be very good sense to understand the broader business context. But they recently, Chris Walker left it and they haven't published a lot. So I've also taken a break from marketing podcasts. But generally, I'm more into understanding broader business podcasts, listening to 20VC to understand SaaS trends and stuff like that, like Saster podcast. So these are all more helpful, and Pavilion has a very good podcast series as well that they share. That you can get broader business context, and I think that's one of the most important skills for a marketer because to understand broader business context, then it gets easier for you to get executive buy-in, etc. So I primarily do that. Marketing specific podcast, I still try to learn it more from reading things rather than listening to podcasts because it's very hard for me to understand marketing because I'd want to understand at a very nuanced technical level. So I'd try to spend a lot of time reading it.
Do you follow any newsletters, blogs?
Yes, I follow the Pavilion newsletter. It's very good. So, and there is the RevOps Co-op Communities newsletter is also very good to understand the RevOps market in general. On top of that, for AI and trends, I follow the Thomas Chung's newsletter, SaaStr newsletter, etc.
Awesome. It'll be great if you can share some of the links, and then I'll add them to the show note. Definitely, will find a lot of value from all of these resources that you've just mentioned. But Aditya, it has been a fascinating discussion with you. What a lovely time! I didn't realize that it's long past 1 hour, but it has been really a pleasure and a lot of stuff that I learned from this podcast. I'm very sure our listeners will learn as well from this podcast and a lot of good takeaways. Any last minute thoughts, anything that stood out, or any message that you want to give out?
Yeah, I think just to reinforce to marketers, like marketing is still human for humans, and it's still led by taste and judgment. So all this AI and other technologies sometimes scares a lot of marketers, but I would say it's better to embrace them, but still retain your own unique judgment and taste because at the end of the day, a human is reading it, and the difference will stand out because we can read a, let's say, a blog and quickly see whether it's AI written or not. So we don't know sometimes why we feel it's AI written as well, but people know. So similarly, as a brand, for you to stand out at the end of the day, it's you that you will have to write. Marketing is not going anytime soon. As much as people want to sell AI marketing tools, that's not happening. It still doesn't have enough context. It's still not human led. So I would say that's the takeaway I will have. Like marketing, this is the best decade to be in marketing, and marketing is just going to get so much more interesting.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I still believe marketing is a combination of art and science together, and therefore it's a unique way of solving problem. And for any folks who loves to solve problems, especially in first person thinking, I think it will continue to be exciting. So embrace AI, like you mentioned, explore what it has to offer rather than running away. Right? It is only going to help probably enable you do a lot more than what probably you are doing today.
Absolutely. And just to add, like exploration is not using ChatGPT. Do more, like try to build your own workflows and agents. Just ChatGPT was good a year back. You need to get more hands-on with trying to do very custom workflows for your use case. Like that's when you truly start seeing the benefits. So just one tiny bit to close out.
Exactly. And thanks for adding that last part. I think that's super important. We need to grow beyond ChatGPT. I think the time has come. All right, Aditya, thank you so much for being on the marketing couch.
Yeah, love the conversation, Jadip. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.